This is a basic assembly video for the Odin speed loader AK adapter. So this is a 3D printed component. I'll show you how to take it apart, put it back together. They give you the files. This comes in 4 pieces. You'll have the nozzle here, these 2 halves, as well as the mag release. And what this will do, it'll allow you to snap in your AK mags, feed them, and then you press in this button, it'll release them. I've tested this with E&L mags as well as mag, AK branded mags, and this guy right here goes in. There's a little bit of wobble. That's nothing that I'm upset about. It hasn't impacted the use of it, and there's a little pocket there cut, so when you put it together, even if you hit the mag release on the speed loader, it doesn't fall off. Overall, this thing's been great. I haven't had any problems with it. You just snap it in, run it through, and then it's done. So normal problem, you'll have a few extra BBs. I just drop those back in. This guy right here, fully loaded. This is definitely the best speed loader on the market. Highly recommend it. I've got a great review of it. Odin Innovations website has links for everything that you need to buy. You're going to be picking up items from Home Depot as well as this website. The website has the spring that you're going to use. It comes in a longer section than you will use. You're going to cut that into 1-inch sections. It also includes the O-rings that you're going to buy. You're going to get a bunch. It's a 100-pack of these, so hopefully you can find a friend to share those with. From Home Depot, you're going to get some hex nuts. It says M3-0.5, and then these screws. So they're M3-0.5 by 16mm, and I think these come in a 3-pack. I was able to select them on their website and then pick them up when I was ready. I did go through Odin Innovations website. They need to update the link for the bolts because they're not there anymore. Once you have the 3 pieces or the 4 pieces 3D printed, this is what you're going to have. You're going to have the halves. They also request how you should go about printing the nozzle. I think it's intended to make it more sturdy that way. The guy who was printing it disagreed, but you'll figure that out. What I did notice is I needed to file down. I used a metal file. The space between these ridges that you'll see here, that was too tight on my mag. I wanted them to be looser. So you're going to fine tune that. I also had to fine tune this. It didn't print properly. Each person might have a different experience, but I just shaped that so that my mags could slide in. You'll kind of figure that out as you go along. The other piece of the construction, you'll see where I cut these springs, and you'll observe this is the least fun part because essentially you're pressing a spring into this groove. Let me make sure I can show it properly. You'll be pressing a spring into this groove, and then when you go to close it, 1/2 is going to fall. So you're going to have some frustration with that, but I do recommend getting it to the tension that you prefer. Once I had that, I glued them into place. So it's not a tremendous problem. Let's see what size this segment was. It looks like I cut mine to 3/4 of an inch. So I personally didn't need the full inch. I would recommend 3/4 of an inch. It gave me good tension. So 3/4 of an inch. And then the actual assembly, I put a drop of glue there, drop of glue there. It makes it a lot easier for me to get in and do a maintenance check on it. This is where your nozzle is. Now one portion of it is going to be flat. So I think that's just to make sure that it prints properly. I didn't have a problem with it. So that's going to go there. And then your O-ring goes here. Seems kind of weird. What that's going to do is it's going to stop the flow of BBs, so that once you fill your mag, they don't continue to pour out. But you will have like 4 or 5. Keep your hand there. You saw what I did. So once you have this, it's always interesting kind of figuring out how it goes together. Let's tinker with this piece. And you'll see this tab here is going to connect into that gap. So you get this, kind of slide that into place. So yeah, this is where I had to do the sanding. Was right in here. So I smoothed out some of that, and I think that's where I chose to sand, was just in here. So I wanted that to have a smooth connection. It's going to be abrasive. They didn't want to give you a lot of space to work with. It's not a problem. And then you'll do the same thing on this side, match it up. Make sure that runs smooth. And some of these edges, oops, I broke the spring. Well, you know, now you get an idea of how that works. My preferred glue, E6000. I'm just going to use a drop of that. This is a tap. It's good to me. Cool. And if you're mindful of kind of which side, you'll feel out whether or not you're doing it wrong. So once you have it situated, you'll notice that you're able to, and if you need to take it apart, sand it down, you're not going to have a big problem with that. And you probably just want to make sure that, oops, you'll hold a little pressure on it, but you just want to make sure a BB doesn't roll all the way through. That's going to be pretty important there. Alright, so we got it there. Run a BB through. Cool. That rolls out. Next up, you got your screws and your bolts. So ideally, you wouldn't have the screws and the nuts the way I have. And you'll notice that one of these sides is intended for the nut. The other one is just for the bolt. With plastics, in case you're not familiar, you don't want to tighten that all the way down. It'll cause the plastic to crack, so that'll disappoint you. And you also kind of you don't want to tighten just all the way around. I like to go in opposite directions. And some of this you'll have to punch out, clear the way for. This bolt particularly, I had some fun trying to get that to work. It's intended to go pretty far down. Alright, so I got the bolt there. I don't want the bolt to fall out, so I'm just going to go from the bottom and tighten my way. Good, I got it. Just keep it loose. No. Use hands. Alright, so now that you have that, again, you don't want to crank down on this, but I'm just going to go around. Just make sure I have things snug. You're going to spend some time sanding and filing just to get that thing to run properly. But the idea here, you'll notice there's a ridge there that's intended for your mag to kind of lock in. So once that, and then this is where I did some filing to just make that a nice smooth angle so I can apply pressure and have it lock into place. There's a window cut into the design so you can see if your mag is seated properly. So that makes that pretty handy. Make sure it sits properly, release, lock. Overall, this thing has felt really sturdy. I haven't spent a lot of hours with it in the field, but it feels good to me. Then once you have it, you'll notice this is your normal M4 adapter. It's just going to lock there, and then you're good to go. So when you let go, normal situation, a few left over, nothing I'm going to get upset about. Drop them back in. You got a loaded AK mags. So thank you to Odin for putting this out. I am very thankful. It makes me appreciate the AK platform a lot more.